Saxon Algebra 1/2, lesson 111. That's an exciting lineup of digits. We're continuing our discussion of business-related math. We've talked about markups and markdowns. We've talked about interest, simple interest and compound interest. And today we're going to introduce two new ideas. The first one in part A is called commission. Two M's, not one. And two S's. Okay. Many people, when they go to work, get paid what's called a salary. It's a flat amount of money that they get for doing their job, and it doesn't matter what exactly they accomplish in that job. They're just paid a flat salary. Based on what I know of your parents' work, they probably get paid a salary. They get paid the same amount. Some people get paid on commission. And a perfect example of that is real estate agents. And they get a certain amount of every sale that they make. Okay? So with real estate agents, they don't get paid unless they sell a house. And then they get a certain percentage, a certain amount of everything that they sell. Car salesman is another example. Car salespeople, because women can sell cars too. That's another job where it's often salespeople that they're motivated to sell because the more they sell, the more money they get paid. The more money they get paid. Okay, and some people get a combination of salary and commission. And so we're going to play around with calculating how that might work. So here's an example. I'm almost to the end of your book, Caleb, this book. I'm running out of pages, and so I'm like fighting for every bit of white space because I love it when a book and a class comes out even. I think I'm going to run out of paper before we get to the end, but I'm fighting. So I'm using this little scrappy bit. Okay, a sales representative was paid a base salary of $300 a month. A note to myself. He was also paid a commission of 10% on everything that he sold. If he sold $26,000 worth of merchandise in 1 month, what was his paycheck? Okay, so what he's going to get is, we see he's got a salary and a commission component to his income. He's going to get the $300 of his flat salary, plus he's going to get 10% of this. 10%, I know I can just bump the decimal in, so that will be 2,600. This is the salary part. This is the commission. Right? And we got it by multiplying 10% times. Right? I hope you can see that. I'm writing really little. I'm writing small. I'm writing little. Either way. 10% times the amount of his sales. And so we add these two together and we see that his paycheck for the period was $2,900. That's the way I was paid when I was a waitress in high school and college. We got a little bit of a salary and then we got our tips. So that's another example of a profession that you're familiar with that uses this style of compensation for its employees. Okay, so that's commission. It's a pay structure where you get a percentage of what you sell. Okay, that's part A. Ready for part B? Flipping. Oh, look at all that paper. But look, I only have a couple more pages. 4 more? No, 3 more. They're so valuable. Because you know what? If I run out of paper, you know what that means. We have to stop. Just kidding. The other concept that we're going to cover in this third of our business math lessons is profit. Okay, when a store owner, okay, so now we're switching our brains. We're in the position of the store owner, right? What we do is we sell something for the selling price. Okay? But we have to subtract from that the cost. In accounting world, we call it the cost of goods sold. So I'm just going to make up some numbers. Let's sell something for $100. Okay? We're the store owner. We put a price tag on it that said $100. Somebody came and gave us that money. So we're trying to figure out how much profit we made on the sale, right? What do we earn from it? Well, we have to subtract what it cost us to buy that. Let's just make something up. Let's say it was $40. We paid $40. Okay? The difference of $60 is what we call our markup, right? It was and we talked about that before. The markup is the difference between what you paid for it and what you sell for it. So now we have our markup, but that doesn't mean this is pure profit, because what we have to subtract from this now are all of our expenses, all of the costs we had to incur in order to make that sale. So it includes things like one of the biggies is the payroll, right? We had to pay our staff who work in our store. We have to pay for rent. We have to pay for utilities. We have to pay for our website. What else? We probably have to pay for some insurance and some advertising. So these are just a few of the different kinds of expenses that our shop may have incurred. And so then that takes away a big chunk. I'm going to say that's $50. And so what's left after we cover the cost of the goods that we sold and we pay all of our expenses is our profit. Okay? I don't know if I've ever told you this, but I studied accounting in college. I worked as an auditor. We spent a lot of time talking about stuff like this. So it's a real thing. It's what businesses spend all their time trying to manage these numbers to make this reasonable and this reasonable. Okay, so let's do an example. There's only one. Ready? A store owner marks up her merchandise 40%. Her expenses are $5,200 for a month. If she pays $16,000 for the goods sold, so cost of goods sold. Cost of goods sold is, where is it? $16,000. What is her profit? And this is all for 1 month, okay? So first we have, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna follow this, but here's what's cool. We're gonna follow, mine's slightly different from John's. I want you to follow this analysis, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna put the numbers for this example right in here. Okay, since we already have the framework set up, we'll just use that. Okay, so her markup is 40%. Her cost of goods sold is $16,000. So that means if we want to multiply 16,000 times 40%, which is 0.40, we can find out what her selling price was, right? We'll add that to it. So let's multiply. Here's zeros all day. So this comes in, I put the 0 there. Actually, you know what? Let's make the multiplication simpler. Let's just chop that out. So now we have 0, 0, 0. 6 times 4 is 24. 2. Okay, then we put in one more decimal place right there. So the markup equals $6,400. So we add that to the cost of goods sold to get the selling price. And I'll show you what, if this is confusing you, just hang on for a second. I used the cost of goods sold and the markup percentage to calculate the amount of the markup. Then I added the markup to the cost of the goods we sold to get the selling price. Okay, this is what we were doing back in the other lesson. We weren't using this expression, cost of goods sold, but I think it helps clarify what the heck that number represents. So now we know our selling price. We subtract our cost of goods sold, and look, we get back our markup, which we calculated at $6,400. What John does is he just ignores all of this, but that to me is kind of confusing because you don't know where this number came from. So there's our markup. Now how much are our expenses? $5,200. So we subtract those, and our profit will be, ooh, not that much, right? $1,200. So on sales of $22,000, we actually earned just over $1,000. Good to know, right? And this is the right answer. Okay, this is kind of confusing. Taking these numbers and putting them into this format, try that. That's slightly different. John doesn't show it this way. His answers, like I said, they leave out some chunks. But remember that the selling price, I'm going to write it up here. The selling price equals the costs of the goods sold, which I abbreviate this way, but it's just the cost of the goods sold. It's not hard, plus the markup. And then these are the steps in the calculation that you'll want to follow that framework. You don't have to write all this out. But that will help you get through this answer. Okay, I think you understand it. I'm done. Bye.